misses home games. That is Steve Milton from the Hamilton Spectator. Bubba O'Neill from CHCH TV Sports. Rick Zamperin from 900 CHML Radio. I'm Scott Radley from the Hamilton Spectator and 900 CHML Radio. And guys, CFL ratings reportedly this year, early on, obviously, with the Labor Day games coming up, enormous improvements this year. Increases way up. In some cases, I think 39% up over the last time they had a season in 2019. Rick, you host the fifth quarter on 900 CHML after every Ticat game. You talk to the people. Is this sustainable, or is this, curiosity because no one has seen it and the Jays aren't doing well? There's nothing else. But, when the Leafs and the Raptors come back, these are going to go back to normal.
Yeah, I don't think the spike is sustainable. I think it's a great number for the Canadian Football League. I think it just shows that there's a thirst out there for CFL action. Fans were robbed of a season in 2020 because of the pandemic, and they've come back, roaring back to watch CFL action. I think it'll sustain itself throughout the fall. But yeah, come MLB playoffs, National Hockey League, NBA, that viewership will be spread out.
I think it depends on how a couple of the big market teams do. If there's some such interest in Toronto, if in fact all those stars that they sign have some effect, we've seen this a million times before, where it has a short-term effect in Toronto. And does BC do much there? They got a shot at that third playoff spot in the West, and is Montreal is as good as they think they are, and have not looked that way so far. I think a lot of it has to do, the sustainability has to do with those three markets. That's where the people watch.
And Steve, the funny part about that is that apparently, according to these same reports, these increases are despite Toronto not pulling their normal numbers. I mean, they were beaten by the Blue Jays the other day when the Blue Jays are, they're in a bit of a swoon right now. So, Bubba, I was amazed that they're up that much without the usual numbers coming out of, as Steve says, the biggest market.
Well, I think there's obviously a natural interest on what the game does look like, but I find it's interesting that I know there are limited crowds and reductions due to COVID-19 in, places like Hamilton and again, places like Toronto, Montreal, but yet the overall fan support in some places that did not have restrictions like Winnipeg and Saskatchewan and Edmonton are down. Calgary as well too, before they put some COVID restrictions. So I feel like the attendance is down, and overall great in Saskatchewan at opening night for the second game against Hamilton, significantly down. So I find
it should be down. Attendance should be down. It's not 100%. We don't know that things are 100% safe. There should be some people that are saying, wait a minute, maybe I don't go.
Is that playing to the TV numbers? That it's not just attendance at the games, but there's a lot of places you can't go and do stuff right now, Rick. So you're going to be near your TV.
Definitely. Listen, if you don't want to go to the game because you think there's some safety concerns, or you're unvaccinated, or you can just stay home and watch TV and be in that safe environment, I think that's lending to the higher numbers on TV. No doubt about it.
But hold on, guys. I mean, you're looking again. I'm going to use Saskatchewan as the heart of the country, a place that had no restrictions on going to the game, and at the time, no vaccine pass to show. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge sellout in week one, and numbers down to 3/4 of a stadium for their second game in Montreal. How do you explain that? Did all of a sudden people care about COVID?
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, there's an opening day thing here. So opening day numbers, it's like
Labor Day
baseball. They don't necessarily mean the same thing as and that's why I think we need a little bit more evidence here to see both at the gate and on the tube what's happening.
I got to believe that the real test here is I think Labor Day is going to be fine. Labor Day, based on what we're seeing, Labor Day will get great numbers probably in the stands and on TV. It's in 4 weeks from now when the NHL starts up that I think you're going to see the real challenge. And the reason is, I mean, the NHL is always going to be competition, but how many NHL teams in Canada that have CFL teams have crazy storylines this year coming out of last year? I mean, Montreal, it's bonkers what's happening in Montreal right now. The Leafs are always a huge story, but especially now. Edmonton with Connor McDavid vowing they're going to play a different style, and go across the board. Winnipeg, which thinks they should have won. These are all teams that have really interesting things going on, and they are, they're going to suck up an awful lot of the oxygen. And
they don't go head to head, so that's
sometimes, not often. Yeah, but if they draw the attention away, that's the problem. Right now, the CFL has the full stage.
Yeah,
Let's not forget the NFL is starting in a few days.
That's
If you're a football fan, you're probably watching both leagues. But there's a lot of the fantasy, the Vegas single game betting is going to be absolutely bonkers in this country when it comes to the National Football League, like it is in the States. So that's another this is why the summer months, especially for the CFL, is so crucial in building up and gaining that momentum going into the fall, because there's a lot of competition coming down the pipe.
And they didn't have a lot of that. Now, the single game betting though should also help the CFL on the
yes,
TV.
Definitely.
If you're betting, yeah, because
you think it will?
Everybody babysits their bet. It's why soccer games are watched in other countries, because because you can bet on games across the world. You're babysitting your bet. Most people who bet want to have that.
Oh, I believe that. I understand that. My question is, do you think there's going to be a lot of wagering on the CFL?
Once it gets going, yes.
You do?
Once it gets going.
I'm not sure.
I'm hearing the easiest bet for bettors, and I don't gamble. I'm hearing the easiest way to make money in maybe any sport is the Canadian Football League.
More side bets because it's single. There's more props because of the single point, the different ways of scoring.
Yeah.
It'll be a slow build, but I think it's going to turn into something, and I think you'll see some of it stateside betting on Canada.
We'll see. The reason I'm a little hesitant is because with the NFL, not only the injury reports, which the CFL is going to start doing better, but you have year by year and even game by game, you have a better knowledge of what the product is, because you know who the players are. There's not as much movement around in the NFL as there is with the CFL. I'm not sure that. On the flip side, look, I'm going to argue with myself. On the flip side, NCAA March Madness, it's all movement and people still bet on that. So I don't know, but I just wonder. I wonder if the CFL is going to benefit
heavy bets and casual
as much
bets
as they think.
There's a difference between heavy bets and casual bets, right? So I think the heavy money, quote unquote smart money, you don't see as much on the CFL for the reasons that you're talking about. It's a little hard to get all that together. But I think for an average person, meaning the average Canadian sports betting fan, I think the CFL, it's something they know. They're familiar. They don't necessarily know the game anymore, but they're certainly familiar with the teams. The team.
Or perhaps there's just an easier divide in a 9-team league in terms of wagering between the good teams and the bad teams.
That's a good point.
So people in the United States can hook up with a guy in Canada that knows the league well. I'm sure that I'm seeing this all over the place right now. And this is why I continually hear from betting types that making money is easy in the Canadian Football League if you're a gambling type.
I think it's a gateway to higher viewership, both in stadium and on TV. When you have skin in the game, and you can bet on whatever, basically in the Canadian Football League, I think that's going to lend itself to more people paying attention to what's happening in the league.
When they get the apps going, and we haven't figured out, they haven't really come up with this yet, but a place like Hamilton, a place like Ottawa, where there's an awful lot of social viewing, meaning people are watching, a significant percentage of people are watching the game on their screens or on delayed reaction to the big screen in the stadium. That's a real target. The apps are a real target for those markets and that demographic. But it's going to take a while.
According to Rick Zamperin, the CFL is the gateway drug to bigger things. We'll see if that's true. But back to Labor Day for a minute, because we've got the Labor Day games coming up here in Hamilton on Monday. Again, going back to the ratings, the CFL has to be absolutely delighted. I mean, there's no question that they didn't know, I don't think, coming into this year, whether the ratings might do this or whether they would do the opposite. I mean, we could very easily be sitting here talking about ratings being down 39%, and I don't think anyone would have been shocked either way. So you're the teams, you're Randy Ambrosie, the commissioner. Rick, what do you do to nurture this and nurse it and just carry it along to make sure that these ratings stay? What can you do?
I think it's got to be. I think it begins and ends with the product on the field. If the games are exciting, especially this weekend, we have hot rivalries, the best rivalries in the league. If the games are good, that momentum will continue, and I can't see it stopping if it's an exciting affair between Toronto and Hamilton or Edmonton and Calgary or the other matchups that are on tap this weekend. You have that strong product on the field, and the fans will be there.
I find it interesting too that these numbers are up. And we've always associated the Canadian game as the more offensive league, the team that's the league that's more exciting than the National Football League. Yet when you look at scoring across the league, we've had a game that had as many as 20, as least as 24 points, and we've only had one game in the 60s. Scoring is down tremendously in this league, and I'm wondering why. We're hanging on to this product that we've always thought was more offensive. The rules curtail for more offense and more point scoring, but we're not seeing it.
Well, that one's simplistic. A simple answer to that one. Most of the players haven't played in 2 years. Offense is a lot more about timing and cohesiveness than defense is, which is a reactionary type of thing. It's more of an individual type of thing. There is some teamwork there.
But with that said, though, Milty, is that scoring in the National Football League after a short break there went up.
But they weren't really off for 2 years, and the teams have changed significantly, and the offensive lines, 5 offensive lines have changed significantly in this league. I don't know if they'll get it fixed in time because it's a short season. One of the other reasons the numbers are up a little bit is because of the support stuff that TSN is doing. There's an awful lot of because they have so many networks, there are an awful lot of CFL things. They replay a lot of stuff during the week, particularly with that soundbite thing that they do, which I think over time gets you interested in the next game, because in a week or so you're going to see what these guys are really saying on the mic. And they've always done this, but there seems to be a little bit heavier emphasis on it right now, and there has to be.
Let's not forget too that there was no preseason this year either. So we're 3-4 games in. This has been the preseason for these offenses, especially.
There's a real feeling out.
Mm-hmm. In a future episode of Home Games, soon from now, we won't wait too long, we're going to dive deeper into that. Why is scoring down in the CFL? Because I'm not convinced that it's just missing a year or that it's just offensive lines. I think there's a lot of other issues here, but we'll dive into that one later. Labor Day games this Monday. Not all the games this Monday. Labor Day weekend games. I wish they all would just do them all on Monday. Have a quadruple header. But dare to dream. At least they're not doing the Ticats and the Argos at night anymore, where fans can drink all day and then people can bite each other's ears off outside the stadium.
We lost 3 years of kids not learning how to say Argos suck.
Yeah. Well, and Ticat fans losing ears.
Yes.
So yes, it's appreciate you watching. Like, comment. Our addresses, our Twitter accounts, our addresses are going to be coming up in just a second. We'd love to hear from you, whatever you think about this, and subscribe to this video. Subscribe to Home Games. We're going to be doing it a lot. Appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you soon.